Finally got some audio working, I think, with this video recording. So here we go, Kerbal Knots. This is Mr. E Lane's career mode playthrough. I'm gonna go ahead and start a game. I'm gonna start a new game. I'm gonna make this career mode. Call this one YouTube's. And I'm gonna pick out a flag. I'm gonna pick the NASA meatball logo flag here. So I can have that little NASA logo on all my ships. You can pick whatever you want. It doesn't really affect the game. And we're going to pick normal difficulty options, and we're going to learn how to science, and we're going to learn how to build rockets, and we're going to go to space and land on the moon, hopefully, safely, and see how far we can get our Kerbals out there into space. So here we go. Yeah, overwriting, because I already tried this once, but couldn't get the sound to record. Here we go. Alright, so these windows pop up. They're pretty helpful. Definitely check them out and read what they have to say. I've read them 20 million times already, so I don't want to do it anymore. And the first three areas here of the Space Center, which you can kind of right-click and drag and look around. The first three areas we want to look at here today are the Mission Control. That's this area here that's being highlighted now. The Vehicle Assembly Building, where we put together all of our rockets. And the Launch Pad. So we're going to go over here to Mission Control, because this is where we get paid, and we need money to launch rockets. So we have available contracts that we can select from, where we have to complete certain challenges in order to get paid. So launch our first vessel, gives you some details here that you can read through, but all contracts have an advance, so they pay you a little bit of money first up front. They give you a completion fee, so once you complete it, you get an extra bit of money. And if you fail to complete it after accepting it, so there's a time period that you have in order to complete it. But if you fail to complete it, then you actually have to pay a penalty. We're not going to worry about that too much for this one. This one's going to be pretty easy. Launch a first vessel. And of these next three that I have available, the next one I want to pick is actually gather scientific data, because that's super easy, and they're going to pay us a lot of money for that. Joke's on them. Ha! Alright. So I can only accept 2 right now until I upgrade my Mission Control Center, and we'll talk about upgrading in a later episode. So now I've accepted those 2 contracts, and now I'm going to go build my first rocket. Alright, so again, another helpful window here. Definitely read through that. So, Werner von Kerman. That's a joke. If you know anything about the Apollo program, Werner von Braun designed all of our Apollo rockets. So, haha, I get it. Werner von Kerman. Alright, so we can start building our first rocket here. We got our first Mark I command pod, so we're going to select that. Of course, to go anywhere, we're going to need an engine. So we're going to place an engine on there. We're going to want a parachute so our pilot doesn't die, because that would be bad. And we're going to do some science on this mission, so we're going to select the Mystery Goo Containment Unit. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on this Symmetry Mode button in the bottom left. So I click it once and it'll double up these and make them balance on either side. I'm also going to click on this Angle Snap button next to Symmetry Mode. And so now it'll snap the part into certain specific angles instead of just kind of, if you turn that off, you can kind of see it just lets you place it sort of anywhere. I kind of like the angle snap though. I like things to be lined up. So it's always important when you're putting on parts on the side of your rocket to use the symmetry mode, because you want your rocket to be balanced. If your rocket's not balanced and you try flying through the air, you're going to have a bad time. So there we go. There's our first rocket. We're going to name this the Hermes 1 for you mythology fans out there. Probably not a lot of you. And we're going to double check our staging. Oh, yep, there's a problem, right? So our staging down here in the bottom right tells us the order in which things are going to happen in. And right now, the booster and the parachute are set to go off at the same time. That's bad. We want the booster to go off first, so we're going to drag this booster down to this new stage I created. You can add new stages by clicking on the plus sign. You can take them away by clicking on the minus sign. So now everything's staged properly for this little rocket. I've got the booster going off, and then I've got the parachute deploying. So that's good. think I've taken care of everything here. So you can see we have in the bottom left 50,000 credits, Kerbal dollars, whatever they're called, root dollars. I don't know what that symbol is. And this rocket is going to cost us 2,800. We're going to get some of that money back. In fact, we'll get most of it back because we're going to recover almost all the parts on this rocket. But as you get to bigger and bigger rockets, some of those parts won't be recovered because they'll be like destroyed when they hit the ground. So rockets are going to start to get expensive, and you have to really be careful about your budget. Alright, so there's our first rocket. Let's go launch it. So here we are on the launch pad, Jebediah sitting in the cockpit, waiting to go. We're going to go ahead and do a crew report. And this is how we get science points. So I right-clicked on the command pod, selected crew report, and this window comes up, which is giving me information about the science points that I'm about to collect. So you record the crew's assessment of the situation. So he basically just took some notes while sitting there in the seat. And the green bar tells us how many science points we get if we recover the vessel completely, or not completely, just the command pod. And the blue bar tells us how many points we get if we transmit the data. So crew reports and EVA reports are generally the kind of data that you can just kind of radio back to base. You don't always need to save them, but we don't actually have a radio on this ship, so we're going to have to just keep the data. Now normally if you did that, you could only do one experiment, but there's a little trick here to being able to do multiple crew reports, and that's by doing an EVA. So we're going to do an EVA, and oh, look at them all ready to go. Alright, so he climbs out, and I'm very carefully going to move around here. I don't want to fall off the ladder, so just be careful of the keys you press. I'm going to right click on the command pod again. Oh wait, before I do that, actually, I'm going to do an EVA report. So I'm going to right click on Jeb and click on an EVA report. More science! Yes, keep the data. Then this is an EVA report while flying over Kerbal shores. So every location that you do a crew report in, or a EVA report, or run an experiment, depending on where you are, you can get the full science points again. Once I've done it once in the location, the return on the science point starts to go down, or I may not even get anything depending on the kind of experiment that it is. So I'll keep this data, and now I'll right click on the command pod. I will take the data and store the data, and that will allow me to repeat my EVA report and my crew report once I'm flying. Well, obviously not EVA report while flying. That would be a bad idea. Don't do an EVA while flying through the atmosphere, or you're going to have a bad time. Alright, one more thing before I take off. I have my mystery goo containment units on the side here, so I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to observe this first unit, and the goo doesn't seem to be doing much right now. Of course not, because we're just sitting there on the launch pad. And you can see here the difference between keeping the data, the green bar, and transmitting the data, the blue bar. Obviously we get more points here if we keep this data versus transmitting it. So I'm going to keep that, and I'll go ahead and show you if I were to try to do the same thing with the other one, whereas before it was worth 3 points. Now, well, it also says 3 points, but when I recover the vessel, if I try to keep both of these, because they're from the same location, this one would actually be worth nothing. So I'll go ahead and just click reset that one, and we're going to save that for when we're flying. Alright, so pre-flight checklist, double check your staging. Got my rocket going off, got my parachute going off, and so that's good. I want to activate my stability control by hitting the T key. You'll see the little white button come on your nav ball down on the bottom of the screen. So definitely want that on, and this is going to be a real easy flight. I'm just going to go straight up. Let the rocket do its thing. So hit spacebar once to activate the booster. If you hit it again, you're going to deploy your parachute, so be careful with the spacebar. There we go. Off we go. Experiencing incredible G-forces and all the air resistance as our rocket flies through the air 500 meters per second. And now we're slowing down because that was a very small engine. I'm gonna wait till I get to the very, very top of my flight here. I'm going really, really slow and just starting to fall. So I'm at 140 meters per second. I'm watching the nav ball, the speed indicator, 90. Also up here at the top, you can see this dial with this orange needle. If that orange needle is pointing up, I'm rising in the air, and if it's going down like now, I'm falling. So once it starts to pass 0 there and point down, I'm going to deploy the parachute. And be careful about time warping, especially right now. I can time warp right now, but I want to turn off the time warp before I get to the point where the parachute deploys. If I'm time warping while the parachute deploys, I'm going to have a bad time. So don't do that. It can mess up the physics. It can destroy the parachute. So be careful about time warping. Alright, parachute's fully deployed. Now falling at a gentle pace. I can time warp again. And off I go to the ground. I'll do a crew report while I'm in the air. Boom. Crew report. And let's see if we can do another EVA. Let's try that. Oh, careful. Oh, got time warp on. That's why. Okay. So let's see if I can do another EVA report. Oh, flying over Kerbal shores. This is different from the one before, I think. I'll go ahead and keep that. I'll do that take data, store experiments again. And looks like one of them I can't store because it's the same. Yeah, flying over Kerbal shores is the same as the one I did before, so it's not going to let me keep that one. I'll have to dump it. But let's see if I can do one more crew report. Still on the launch pad, so won't get any points for that one either. But first successful flight, and oh, I forgot to do the other mystery goo. Drat. Well, have to get it next time. Alright, don't forget to do your other mystery goo while you're flying through the air. Totally forgot about that one. So now that we're done, we're going to go up here to the top of the screen. We're going to click on this green recover vessel button. And that's going to recover our vessel for us. And you can see on that mission we earned 18.6 science points. So we have a total now of 29.6. Wait, where did that extra science points come from? Well, that was from one of our contracts that we selected. We actually got bonus from that. So that's good. On the parts tab, it tells you how much money we got back. So our rocket cost us, we gained most of our money back. It was about 2,800. I'm just going to call them dollars. $2,800 to launch the rocket. We got 2,700 back. So that's good. And Jebediah gained an experience point on that mission. So that's something else to keep in mind. Your pilots actually gain XP for going different places. So launching is the first one that you get an experience point for. Alright, now we have science points. We're going to go to the Research and Development Center down here at the bottom of the screen. We're going to unlock some new parts. So here's our tech tree. You can see there's lots of things to unlock. We're going to need to collect a lot of science points in this game. And to do so, we just have to start making progress. So here we go. These first two nodes, I've got basic rocketry and I've got engineering 101. So I'm going to unlock both of those to get some new parts. I get a new liquid fuel engine, I get a new solid fuel engine and a liquid fuel tank. And then for engineering, I'm going to unlock that one, and I've got now a new cockpit. I've got a Science Junior, which allows me to do more science experiments. I can put an antenna on my ship now and transmit data. And I can use a stack decoupler to separate parts of my rocket. Now I've still got 19 points left, so I'm going to come down here to survivability. And I'm also going to unlock these parts, which gives me a heat shield, which is very good for re-entering the atmosphere. Got a radiator panel, got some landing struts, another kind of parachute, and a little service bay. Alright, so that's good. So let's go ahead and exit out of here. And now that I've finished those contracts, I want more contracts. So I'll go ahead and accept these next two. Escape the atmosphere and orbit Kerbal. So I'm going to get quite a bit of money for those. You can see right now we're already up $130,000 here from that one flight, just by breaking all those records and accepting all those contracts and finishing contracts. So we're going to go for our second rocket now. Here we go, the Hermes 2 coming at you. So the Hermes 1 was a success, even though I forgot about one of the mystery goo containment units. So now we're going to add, let's see, we're going to add the Science Junior on here. And then we're going to put a Separatron on there from the Structural tab. And we're going to go to the Engines tab, and this time we're going to select the Hammer. We're going to bring the Hammer. Yeah, look at that guy. Alright. One other thing we're going to add up from the Aerodynamics tab is we're going to add the basic fins. And again, I'm going to use the Symmetry mode to make sure I get 4 of those symmetrically on there to give our rocket some fins, because we don't want this guy to go tumbling out of control, especially since we're going to change pilots. So up here at the top of the screen next to the name of the ship, I'm going to rename this the Hermes 2, but to the left of that you can see there's a blue button that says crew, so I'm going to click on that. And Jebediah has already had his turn, so I've got 3 other pilots that I can choose, or not pilots but crew members. One's an engineer, one's a scientist, and we have another pilot, Valentina. So I'm going to pick the scientist this time, because scientists can do a cool little trick where they can reset experiments so that you can run them multiple times. Alright, I'm going to double check my staging. I got my rocket going off first, got my Separatron so I can separate from the rocket, and then I've got my parachute. So perfect. I'm going to go ahead and launch. Alright, so before I even launch, I'm going to run this first experiment here, the Science Junior. I'm going to observe the materials bay. The materials show little signs of change, though one of the samples appears to be judging you silently. So 7.5 science points. That's pretty good. I'll keep that data. And I'm going to EVA with Bob, and I'm going to very, very carefully climb down. I don't want to fall off. I'm just going to inch my way down with the letter S key here to control the pilot, so I can get close enough to right click on the Science Junior. I'm going to collect the data. So I'll remove the data, and because he's a scientist, he can restore the unit to its original functionality, so we can do another experiment. Let's see if this is worth anything. Can I observe the mystery goo? I can. It's only worth 0.7 science this time. I'll go ahead and keep the data. I'll collect the data, and then I'll restore it so I can run it again. I'll hit the B key to return back into the pod, and if I try to hit the T key this time, it says Hermes 2 has no operational SAS modules and no pilots aboard, cannot engage SAS. Drat. So Bob's gonna have to fly this one on his own, so just let the ship do its thing. Don't try to do anything fancy. You'll find you won't really be able to do a whole lot, because once you get going fast, it's going to be hard to turn this thing with all the aerodynamic forces acting on it. So we're going to go ahead and launch, and right after launching, we're going to right click on the Science Junior again to get some more data. Data, 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 whatever. There we go. 17.5 science points. It's awesome. Mystery goo. Again. 7 science points, and now I'm gonna wait until I'm in a higher layer of the atmosphere. That should be a different biome, and oh, I'm heating up pretty bad. That's a lot, going really fast. I'll observe the mystery goo again. 7 more science points, and I'm going wicked high here. 20 kilometers. 23. So I'm not going to deploy the parachute at the very top this time. I am going to go ahead and separate. I'll do a crew report while I'm way up here in the air. That's worth 4.5 science points. And I'm just going to kind of time accelerate here, see how high I go. 38, 39, 40, 42. Oh, going very high. Kind of worried that I'm going to burn up. So I'm going to hit the caps lock key so I can do some fine adjustments here to my attitude, because I want to try to fall straight down like this, so that way I'm not like shaped like a bullet. I don't know, maybe it'll slow me down a little bit compared to falling the way the computer will want to fall. So let's try that. Let's see how that goes. We'll time warp, falling. Oh, 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 drifting a little bit there. Turning off the time warp to make these adjustments. And not a whole lot of air right now. All right, I'm accelerating. Not a lot of air resistance because I'm so high up in the atmosphere, and the air is very thin. But as I fall, you'll see that blue meter just under my altitude. That's kind of like an indicator of how much air there is. So the lower that needle gets towards the light blue, the further to the right that needle gets, the more air resistance I'm going to encounter. And if I'm going really fast, I'm going to heat up a lot because that's a lot of friction and could potentially explode, which would be bad. And there we go. See, we're already starting to build up some air resistance. Trying to keep it pointed the other way, not really working. Let's just hope for the best here. Bob, we wish you luck. Yeah, we should be alright. It's heating up a little bit, but we're not turning bright orange or anything. Now, just hopefully I will not be going too fast when I, get to my parachute deployment height. Oh, it's going to be close. I need to be at around 200 meters per second to deploy the parachute. 250. Oh, gotta do it. Gotta deploy. There it goes. Oh, just in the nick of time. Alright, that one was pretty close. And let's see where I ended up. Oh, pretty far away. Try to land over the ocean sometimes, but I didn't really do a lot of steering that flight. So we'll time accelerate so we hit the ground. Oh, and that was bad. So, yeah, most of my flights I do that over the water, and yeah, the Science Junior survives. Apparently, that one parachute was not enough to get us to land safely with the Science Junior, and I just lost like 30 science points from that. Not really happy about that. Well, let's go ahead and EVA. Let's see if we can get some more EVA reports here. Might as well, right? Make up some science and grab on there. And we'll take data, store the experiments. Oh, that's right. We at least get the one Science Junior report because we stored that one earlier. Alright, so we will go ahead and board. Do another crew report. Actually, let's EVA again. Let's stay on the ladder this time to EVA. Since I'm on the ladder, it counts as flying, which is a different situation. I know it seems silly, but more science, right? Alright, so let's board, recover. Man, we're going to have to do that one again with the Science Junior there. So we get more science points. Alright. Well, as long as you don't mess it up like I did, you should have probably around like 50 science points instead. But let's go ahead and go to the research center again. Let's see what we can unlock. We got 36 points. I got general rocketry and stability. Or, nope, can't afford that one. So let's go with, well, let's go with the general rocketry. We got the bigger liquid fuel tank there. We can get a little bit better control over our ships. And we'll unlock the stability with the next one. We go with the radial decoupler. Alright, well, so now what you can do is kind of repeat that same flight a couple times and just try to fly around to different locations. So, like when I was flying before, I didn't really steer, so if I go to the east this time and land in the water, my Science Junior will actually survive. So let's just fly this ship again. Try it one more time. Make sure I get the right crewman in there. Bob Kerman's the crew member. Got our Science Junior. We'll go ahead and launch. The only thing I'm going to do different this time is I'm going to wait on the mystery goo. I'm going to do the mystery goo when I'm much higher up in the air. And I'm going to make sure I fly to the east. So as I launch, I'm going to be hitting the D key to kind of tilt the rocket over, just barely tilt it over so I'm out flying out in that direction. And that way I land in the water and I can recover the Science Junior. Also, because I'll be in the water, I'll be able to get more crew reports and more EVA reports. So let's try it again, shall we? Off we go, and tilting a little bit. using the D key, and you can see the nav ball changing just a little bit there. Giving myself some direction, heading out towards the water, and seeing how far we can go here. I won't go as high this time, obviously, because I'm going at an angle. And wow, really heating up. 900 meters per second in dense atmosphere. That's a lot of air resistance. Alright, so I'm up higher this time. I'm going to go ahead and do the Science Junior. 22 science for up this high. Now, that's good. Can make up a little bit difference there. Like I said, each layer of the atmosphere you'll be able to get a new experiment in. Now the goo seems to be getting very cold. Let's see if I go up all the way to the next level. Almost there, almost there. It doesn't look like I'm quite going to make it because I went at an angle. Don't think I'm going to get out into the really, really thin stuff. I might have to wait until I'm in the medium colored blue there for the next mystery goo container. Yeah. We'll go ahead and time accelerate. Oh, I might just make it. Nope. 50,000 is the mark there, I think. So, going to be falling. Let's go ahead and separate the rocket. And we'll time accelerate and get down into the denser atmosphere. We'll go ahead and do another crew report. Nope. Already did this one. So that's no good. Falling, falling, falling. Gonna try to get in on that mystery goo container right there. And in that blue section. There we go. Oh, I've already done it this one too. Alright. Well, worth a try. So here we go, plummeting back to Kerbal. Those aerodynamic forces slowing me down now. Even though I'm under acceleration from gravity, air resistance is huge now, so I'm actually slowing down. And, oh, this is going to be close. Oh, don't break, parachute. Don't break. Oh, wow, okay. There we go. Now I'm safe. Now I'll recover the Science Junior. Alright, so I've splashed down in the water. I'm going to rotate the ship with the Q and the E keys, so that way my hatches face up here so I don't come out in the water below the ship and make it difficult to get back into. So now I'm still grabbing onto the ladder so I can EVA report, and that counts as flying over the water. So I'll keep that. I will take data and store the experiments again by right clicking on the pod. And now I'm going to, yep, there we go. Okay, so all I did was climb down the ladder. Now I'm standing, so I can do a different EVA report now because I'm actually from the water this time instead of flying. So it's counting me as being on the ground, or in the water I should say. I'll keep that one. We'll store that data. Take data, store experiments. There we go. I'll see if I can walk back here, grab onto the ladder. I'll board. We'll do another crew report from the water. It'll be good. And now I can recover once more. And I probably lost a little bit of money on that mission, but totally worth the science points that I gained. So $280,000 now I'm up to. Earned 42 science on that mission. Got most of the money back from the parts. Like I said before, the farther away you are from the Space Center, the percentage of money you get back from recovering parts tends to go down quite a bit. So, yeah, I'm good there. Bob Kerman did not get any XP that time because he basically did the same flight that he did before. In order to get more XP next time, he's going to have to go further out into space. So now I can spend those last science points here. So let's see, I've got stability. I could do basic science. We're going to go ahead and get this stability unlocked because now I have some radial decouplers, so I can start attaching things to the side of my rocket. And I don't really have enough science points to do anything else just now. So that's all we'll do for this episode. In the next episode, we'll see if we can build a rocket that will get us into orbit. And of course, since we'll be in orbit, we can do more experiments and it'll be even more of those juicy science points. So tune in next time.